Welcome to the CodPast podcast, where your fishy past hooks your brilliant future. With Dr. Deborah, Laura, and Dr. Trish.
You can't tell they're blue. They're blue.
Here we
They'll
go.
call me rogue when I wear these. They're like
30-day challenge. I have to just like, I'm just
what are you doing? Everyone? I hear
What are you
Laura
doing,
talking to get her proverbial stuff together. We could be here for an hour,
Here
right?
we go.
Oh my
Fishy
goodness.
past hooks your brilliant future.
With Dr. Deborah, Laura, and Dr. Trish.
Woo!
That was good.
Woohoo! We're getting it. Each time
Yeah.
we get a little bit better.
We do.
Welcome,
we have
everybody.
a guest today. Welcome.
Welcome.
We're back in our different states. I'm in a state of confusion, chaos in Virginia.
I'm in a state of grace. That's what Deborah.
Oh, I'm in a state of Great Lakes. I'm in Michigan again.
Did you
Kathleen,
say
what
Great-
state are you
did say
in?
Great Lakes.
Billionaires. I'm in
Great
the
Lakes.
state of
Oh yeah, I would
billionaires.
like the great.
I love
You're in
that.
the state of
Kathleen.
millionaires. I like that.
No,
Billionaires. I'm sorry, with a B.
Oh,
Billionaires.
with a B.
That would be me. That would be
Yeah.
I'm in
me.
Arkansas. Yeah,
Oh.
we got a lot of billionaires here.
We like that. We like that. So today I'm going to, we're going to start off with a joke, which I will do in a second, but, and then I'm going to introduce our guest. We're so excited that Kathleen Seals is here. So let's start off with our fishy joke as we do. And of course it goes off my screen. Hold on. Advertisements. Okay. So why did the two fish have to take it outside? You guys are,
Why
they
did the two
were
fish
they
have
killed?
to take it outside?
Were they fighting?
Were they guilty?
they were about to have a row.
Oh.
And I also want to say to everybody that's watching us, if you think of a better pun, be sure to drop us a line.
Oh, I like that. A beta. So, you know, when I lived in England, it's like potato. They call that a row, but it's not as
Oh.
good.
I like a row. A row's better than row. Maybe I
Oh,
should.
you guys talking about funny words, and I'm sure Byron is watching this. Do you guys remember what he said the last couple of days? Now, this is a guy that's like a triple PhD, graduated from college at 17 years old. And he said, what, Laura?
I can't even say it the way he does. It's something like capillaries.
No, he said capillaries. Capillaries. Capillaries.
Capillaries. And I said,
Capillaries?
what
Yes.
the heck is capillary? And he said, capillary, blood goes through capillaries. I said,
Capillaries.
where in the
Capillary.
world did you go to school?
I did a science project on that in third or I don't know, fourth grade, a capillary action.
Did
Yes.
it say capillary or capillary?
Capillary.
Yeah. So we love the capillaries.
Capillary.
We joked about it all weekend. It was so funny.
That's so funny.
So-
My mom has a PhD in food science, so that's why I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, today we have our guest, Kathleen Seal. She's a amazing woman and a good friend of ours. And we, the three of us have just been together for a week, and we're just in a spiritual spin. Yeah. I mean, plus we laughed a lot, so it was really fun. But I'm going to introduce you to Kathleen a little bit, and then we're going to have some fun conversations. Kathleen Seals is a John Maxwell certified speaker, trainer, and a coach. She's a communication expert and a business strategist. Her sales training has been featured on hundreds of news outlets, including ABC, MarketWatch, NBC, CBS. She and her husband are owners of the Arthur Murray Dance Center in Northwest Arkansas that's opening soon. And she's a former presidential appointee for NASA. She's done it all. from music to Capitol Hill, retail to Disney characters. And the one thing she's known all along is that she believes in people. That's why we love her so much. She believes in them so much, so that in every area of her life, she is focused on the infinite potential of humans. Oh my gosh, that's my thing. I love that. She believes that you have a purpose and a mission and that you're capable of your dreams. And regardless of how she's blessed with touching your life, she does so with love, unwavering belief, and persistence. And most importantly, she's a highly effective leader, mentor, and coach who brings the best out in her clients and employees and gets them lasting results. Of course, we're going to talk about her dancing abilities. And I am wondering, whose friend were you in Disney World?
Disneyland. I was from California. So
Okay, whose
it was
friend were you?
But
Which I love.
yes. Yes, the original, right? That's where it all started, the magic, where the magic began, as we say. I was great friends with Pluto and Mr. Smee and the Tweedles and Eeyore and
And the mother from the Wonder People? What was her name? Maybe it was after you.
that was probably later. It was in the early 2000s that I was there. So the most recent movie that was out at that time was Atlantis.
I think it was The Incredibles, but my daughter was.
Oh, no. That was much later. Yeah, that was much later. No, so yeah, those guys. And I also did a Critter Camp Counselor, which was really cool. We got to go through Critter Country and like in Splash Mountain, in the line in Splash Mountain. So we dressed up as camp counselors and we were friends of the forest forever. And we got to cheer and help everybody have a good time in the line. Like no one wanted to have a good time in the line. So we were there to enjoy. I've been a camp counselor since I was, I don't know, since I was born. I went to Girl Scouts.
I love that. I read that in your bio. My daughter was friends with Pluto and Smee and also, so we have that in common with my daughter.
I love it.
So we're going to get started now. And I think maybe, do you guys want to start out by asking her some stuff, or let's get Laura nodding her head there.
I would actually like to ask you a question, Kathleen, which you may not have prepared for, because we are refining as we go, and we realize that the whole purpose of this is for people that are watching us to see, not just learn, because they can learn, and almost everybody that we interview is what Deborah calls a multi-passionate. Obviously, if you did NASA and you've done Disney and you've done it all, Capitol Hill, we're all multi-passionate. I think that's our audience as well. But we have kind of gotten away from our whole purpose, which is fishy past hooking your brilliant future. So, I apologize. My apologies.
That's her fishy past coming back.
That's my fishy past. Ding dong, fishy past coming
attached to a phone. Fishy
story that maybe didn't feel so great that you went through, but you made the breakthrough, maybe the breakdown to the breakthrough, something that you'd like to share with our audience so they know that their fishy past can also hook their brilliant future. Because look at where you are now. You're in a brilliant place. You're a shining star for people to come to, and it didn't come from just ordinary nothingness. It came from maybe not extraordinary, but maybe a fishy past. So could you tell us?
Yeah. So I actually came from an interesting past. So my parents were amazing, and they believed in me and told me I could do anything I wanted to, and I believed them. And I took that as far as I could go. But the problem is you don't get to take them into your future. You don't get to bring your family into college. You don't get to bring your parents, they're not there. I went to Northwestern. I lived in California. So my parents were in California. I was in Chicago. I didn't have my belief system behind me. And slowly over time, my beliefs kind of eroded, but I was able to bring it back, right? I was able to bring back my belief about myself until I worked in a certain place with people who did not believe in me. And I'm different than a lot of people, but I'm not, because I'm sure there's people out there. So there's some people who had a really rough childhood and their college years or didn't either existed or didn't, and they were rough. That wasn't me. I had a great time. But then I entered the workforce and I had a great boss. One of my first bosses was amazing. My people were awesome. Then I get to a certain job, after I try and keep moving and moving and moving, and all of a sudden I was surrounded by people who didn't believe in me and thought that I was garbage. And I'm blessed with the ability to see what other people see. Sometimes that means myself. So at that point in my life, I was 28 and I lost my belief in myself. I had so much belief that I walked to my interview at NASA and I was like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this job at NASA and become this presidential appointee. It sounds really exciting, but like I knew I was going to get it. And I knew that I was going to work at the Senate, and I knew that I was going to work at Disneyland. I knew that I was going to get all these things. And I lost my confidence at 28.
Wow.
Which is really hard when you've had confidence for 28 years. It's like your life. It's this foundation. And all of a sudden my foundation became chiseled and like cut away. And I lost my confidence. And it took about 10 years plus, because I'm now approaching 40. And this year I'll turn 40. And I am still working on rebuilding that confidence, because once someone takes that away, once you give it away, I should say, once you give that confidence away, because I walked into that job, one of the most confident people you've ever met. And I walked out like a disaster. I loved what I did afterward, but I still never recovered from it. And I'm still working on it to this day. And thank God for some of these oils that have helped me to release some of those memories that don't need to be in my life. They don't serve me.
Wow, I love that so
Boy,
much.
I cannot believe, I feel like you're the preacher talking to me out there in the church, because
I love you.
No, I'm really very serious about this. We've had this talk for the last 5 or 6 days about belief. And so you touched on that, and it's kind of like we're getting really deep, like, what do we believe? What do we believe about the earth? What do we believe about humans? What do we believe about our own beliefs? Do we believe our beliefs are flawed or something? And I, like you, I had this incredible childhood and college and all of that, other than, I mean, little glitch, I got pregnant at 17, but that was like, it was no big deal. It was okay. But I had these people that said you can do anything. My dad said you come from perfect stock, don't screw it up. I mean, we had great relatives that we were connected to, famous, rich, all of that, and I was really solid. And then I started a huge endeavor of going from venture capital on top of everything, making a lot of money, telling people what to do, being president of mortgage banking, to all of a sudden trying to raise funds and use all my money for a fledgling little school that was on the worst drive-by shooting street, that everybody thought I'd lost my mind, which started to egg it at me. And then I started thinking, maybe I have lost my mind. And as of yesterday, believe it or not, yesterday, I'm calling these two girls going, I don't know, you guys, maybe I have lost it. Maybe I've lost my confidence or my ability to jump on top of my life, because something went askew. And I do know the oils have kind of brought up a lot of this stuff, like, inner child and all that. I've had an amazing life with amazing military parents all over the world. I've had a lot of opportunity and I've done really well. But lately it has felt like, I don't know, something is glitchy, because I'm saying things that I would have never said 20 years ago. Little things come out of my mouth that I go, what the heck did that mean? So you are preaching to the choir, my love. And if it was only one person listening to you, thank you. And I was going to ask you about NASA. So this is fortuitous, because what was it, 4 years ago, Laura? I was one of the keynote speakers for the International Space Conference, and thought, what the heck am I going to talk about? And Laura was praying with me as I walked out there to do this talk, because I was so scared. And I talked about the importance of love in creating software. And I could get into the science of it because I know the science. But so, and I was confident. So then what happens to people when they start to go down, and then what do they do to get back up? So I'm going to let
You know what, I heard this today, Trish, and when I was listening to what Kathleen was saying, how she's just on a high and then words or people knocked her right off her horse. And today we were listening to a friend's TED Talk, and while we were waiting for that, there was someone on there that said, when you speak words of contempt for someone else, that I get, oh, I'm getting shivers. When you speak words of contempt for someone else, it literally causes them to have shame. And shame is the worst emotion that can destroy human beings. So, right, words bring life or death. And I have goosebumps all over my whole body, because when people spew contempt on the internet at you because you're not this or you're that, or they spew contempt at you at work, whatever, it can destroy your little soul. And even though your soul is strong, I bet you had that, you know, that's what I was thinking of.
I want to share with you some science about that. So about 5-10 years ago, I don't know when it is, but Wayne Dyer made a movie called The Shift. He wrote a book called The Shift, and then he made a movie called The Shift. And then in my life, a follow-up to The Shift was this Abundance Factor, which was a movie that Riley Dane created, which is another incredible movie. And in that movie, one of the most impactful things that I've ever heard in my entire life was told, and it was about this seeds experiment that they did at one of the universities in Arizona. And I don't know which, Dr. Trish, you might know, but it was a university in Arizona.
It was University of Arizona in Tucson.
Was it U of A? Okay. Yeah. So it was University of Arizona. So they did this experiment where they had a woman, and she went to New Zealand or Australia, somewhere on the other side of the world. And they gave her 4 pictures with A, B, C, D on the back, right? And they had her show one of them, and she chose which one she was going to show. So they took pictures of 4 sets of seeds, and they just took an image, a photograph of 4 different sets of seeds. So she chose which one she was going to display on a slide to her audience, maybe 1,000 people, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 people. And she had them send intention to that one set of seeds. Now, then she wrote on the back which set of seeds it was. She called them and said, okay, go ahead and plant the seeds. They planted the seeds, and that set of seeds grew 25% faster than the other 3 sets of seeds.
Wow.
From an image, you guys,
Yeah.
from an image of
From a
seeds.
picture. And you know what, that's shocking. And you know, the oils from Young Living, they pray over them when they put them in the ground. And then if somebody that's working on the farm, these are 42 farms of thousands of acres around the world. If people come in for work and they're in a bad mood, they send them home. And what I did meet Dr. Emoto, who did the water experiment about water
I love
molecules.
it. One of my favorite experiments.
Yes, but the thing is, Kathleen, I have been on the edge of all this science, on the edge of meeting these incredible people. Bruce Lipton was part of that experiment down at U of A. And
Yes.
the thing is that I somehow allowed that to impregnate me. And
so you can't help it. Let's talk about that for just a moment, because you can't help it. Are you 70% water? Can you help it? Could the water help it? If he wrote anger, hate, whatever kind of angry words on the water can't help but be water. You are water. So if a human being is 70% water, whatever words we wear, whatever words we're told about us, we have to embody it. We can't combat it without a lot of energy and a lot of awareness. And
this is amazing,
you can't
Kathleen.
blame yourself.
That is,
blame yourself.
You know,
it's physics, it's science.
well, and you know, we, all of us, work every day to balance that victim mentality, shame mentality with abundance and creativity, right? We were like, okay, how do we do this? And then how can we help the world do this? And how can we get it? And Laura's been with me a long time. I think, I don't know, 16, 17 years. And so she's watched me go through lots of different choices and things that I've done. And literally for 17 years, I spent practically every day in court getting beaten up by the biggest federal lawyers, that I was misspending money for Starshine, because the first time I got dragged into court was I was misspending it for teaching the kids gardening, which was a waste of public funds. And the second time was because I was teaching them how to take care of goats, and goats had no place in a school. And then the third time was that I was teaching them brain science, and that is too advanced for a kindergartner to understand how their brain works with their body. So all I did, Laura knows, all I wanted to do was play with the kids. All I did was go with attorneys downtown, try to fight another court case. I always won, but what it did to me and how it affected my sleep, and they attacked me and they said terrible, terrible things about me all the time. And I had personal things going on at the same time. And then I had children that some of them had killed people. And some of the times I would get a kid in the school and he'd go, I hate you and I hate the world and I'm going to blow it up. And I go, yeah, I get that, but let's see if we can play together a little bit. You know, let's go get something to eat at the lunchroom. Of course, if I said that, they're like, oh, okay. You know, we go something. And the second thing, first of all, we would eat, and then we'd walk out to the goats. And that was all there was. I didn't have to do anything else. They were like changed. But I had to deal with this, you know, egg throwing, tomato throwing, day after day after day after day. And I literally think I lost something in that 20 years. Like I just wasn't able to pop up like I normally do. And we're questioning that right now with the oils and the healing. And I've always taught yoga. I know how to do that. But I never thought about, we can't help but absorb this stuff because we're water. I never thought about that.
What are some of the tools that you used, Kathleen?
Oh my gosh. So yes, thank you for asking. So one of my mentors is Joe Vitale. I love him dearly. And I learned Ho'oponopono from him. And if nothing else, you have Ho'oponopono, which raises your vibration. Even if you don't have an oil nearby, which can raise your vibration exponentially. But if you don't have any oils, you can still say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And it raises your vibration of your body. So no matter what, you have your self-talk, and you don't even have to say anything about yourself. You don't have to say, I'm great. You don't have to believe you're great. You just have to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And it literally is the running dialogue in my brain all the time. If I don't know what to think, that's what I think. It's like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, right? When you don't know what to say, that's what you say. So it's I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. In that order.
Thank you for saying this, because I would have forgotten. You know, I forget these things. Yeah. We each have stories about this. Laura, tell her some of the stories that we went through with the Ho'oponopono prayer and what we learned. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, Trish actually, I think, got a certification in it, and there
I'm
were
certified too.
Yeah, there were people that
love the company I keep.
We had trouble with, or we had situations that we had trouble with independently or dealing with difficult people, and that was something that we would do, and it really would. It was very often, it was like a miracle. They would change. But I have to ask another question. Let me just ask you, because I actually have a two-pronged question. I don't know if they go together, but it's in line with what Trish just said, because I went to a Tony Robbins event, and a woman walked in next to me, and she was like, you know, I got a VIP ticket.
People, why don't they want to be here? Why are you miserable?
It was awful. And then she and I sat in the front row, and that's a whole other magical story. Mine was $97. Hers was $1,500. But, you know, the whole time Tony was there, she was like this. he leaves the stage and she literally went like this. And I'm like, how do we keep that kind of power that we pull off of other people? And how do we remember to integrate this stuff? I really think it's kind of related, because people need to pick themselves up. First, they need to recognize they're down, and then they need to pick themselves up, because a lot of people know what to do, but they don't do it. So,
of course, who doesn't know how to get healthy? You exercise and you watch what you eat, like, duh. But who's doing it? Not everybody. Like, we all know, right? Knowing and doing, that's the greatest gap in life, is between knowing and doing.
I love that. Yes, true.
Yeah, it really is. So like, to carry something on, that is the challenge. And that's why that's why I love being part of the John Maxwell team, because John Maxwell said, I don't want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a motivational teacher. And the difference is, you can give a speech, everyone, it's like a meal. Oh, it's awesome. You can spend a lot of money on a great meal, but it's gone. It's gone. You eat it and it's done. What I do with dancing, what I do with coaching, what I do with teaching, it's ongoing, because that's all humans need, is ongoing repetition, and they need accountability. We need that. And so, I mean, some people, and I am a DISC certified coach, or consultant, some people are really good at holding themselves accountable, like D's style personalities and C style personalities are great at holding themselves accountable, because they're task focused. So if they have a system, they're like typically engineers and leaders. And that's like, okay, so they can hold themselves accountable. But what about the rest of the population, which is 80% of the population? I think it's 11% are I's and 69% are S's. So 80% of the population does not know how to hold themselves accountable. So they need accountability people, and they will show up for someone else. And that's why coaching is so powerful. That's why all the other things are so powerful, is because we can't all, and even the D styles, even the C styles, we all need someone to be accountable to, because we'll let ourselves down more than we'll let someone else down. That's just the way it is.
That is fabulous.
Blown.
Mind blowing. I had no idea, because Laura and I were talking about this morning, about leadership. And then if you take leadership and then you filter it down and you go, now who's left out of the leadership that's actually free and have the ability to move the world? You keep going smaller, smaller, smaller. But I didn't know 80% of people just have to have somebody hold them accountable, because, and I said one time, I think to Steve, who's sitting near me, I said, I'm just so sick of having to manage all these people, help them through this, help them through that, so they can go teach the kids. And I just want to play with the kids. I don't want to have to manage all this. And he goes, that's what you get paid to do. I went, oh yeah, right.
Yeah. When you're a leader, you're responsible for others, just like being a parent. Like, I remember early on when I was a leader, and one of the people said, it's just like being a mom. And this is a book I'm working on too, by the way, how being a sales leader helped me in motherhood, like prepared me for motherhood, because it did. I mean, did you brush your teeth? Yes. Or no, like it's no, usually like 10 times. No. Okay, did you brush your teeth? Yes. Which ones? The front ones. Okay. So it's just like being a leader in business, right? Like, did you do this? No. Did you this? Or like, okay, so how did you make your phone calls? No. Did you call everyone? No, I called one person. Okay. So, I mean, it's just like this babysitting experience, but if you're aware that that's who you're working with, and they're not doing it to annoy you. That's the thing. Like, it's not about you. It's not that they're doing it to annoy you, or, they're trying to make your life miserable and take away from your experience. They're just living their own experience. Like, they're all their own energetic beings walking through this world, like doing their own thing. And they're pretty much unaffected by anything around them. Like, oblivious.
And when you're chosen to be a leader, that comes along with the territory. And there's never been any doubt in my mind that all four of us were chosen to be leaders and have had to lead through a lot of things. But if not us, who? I mean, we need to take that. We're given that gift, And we need to use that gift to help the 80% that you have to drag along, but I have a little more faith in humans in that. But there's, most people want to do a good job. A lot of people just don't have the gifts of being a leader. So
They just
I
need
think
help to do a good job.
Yeah, they do.
And then accountability. They need someone to check up and make sure they're doing a good job.
Well, and I think right now, when I did this little survey after the talk with Deborah and Laura yesterday, I thought about all the leaders I really know, and I always do the Ben Franklin plus and minus, and I thought, can they really lead in this moment in time? And a bunch of leaders are so strapped with their 24-hour lives that they really can't lead right now because they're really focused on a sick mother, a sick child, their company their company going down in drains, their company trying to figure out how to stay on top of their growth. I mean, a lot of leaders are sidetracked right now trying to survive. So out of that, how many leaders can take a hold of where our present world is right this minute, in and out of everything that's going on in the world? How many leaders are left to go, I'm going to be open and ready for what I need to do right now to make a difference in the world right now, and what my mission is right now and what my focus is? How can I be more impactful to impactful leaders? So how can I lessen a little bit of the load to people that have millions of followers, and that if they say one sentence, those million are going to pivot? Because we need to work at that point right this minute. I've done the one-on-ones, and it does make a ripple, of course. But right now we got a lot of stuff out of whack, but we've got a lot of leaders out of whack. So if that's only 20%, who's left? It's like Deborah just said.
No, only 3% are leaders. The D styles is 3% of the population. 17% are the C styles, who are the calculated analytical people. So on the task side, you've got the people side, that's 80%. And on the task side, there's only 3% that are leaders. Thank God, because you don't need more of us than 3%, because we are a lot to handle. Right?
I am a D.
God was gracious.
Yeah.
Well, then how many of them are left, Kathleen, that actually have the freedom to go,
and the capacity,
something is really off and I need to do something about it?
So that goes along with what you asked me before about what kept me going, the Ho'oponopono. I was fishing around while you were talking, because I was looking for, I have
wait a minute, did you say fishing?
Catch of the day, catch of the day.
Catch
you
of the
should make that
day.
a thing. If you say fish, there's a hook. Yes, I was fishing around for this paper, because I have a paper from one of my goal set meetings from 10 years ago, but I remember writing this specific thing. It said, one of my goals, and of course my boss wanted me to have monetary goals and this and that for myself. I really had them for my department. I didn't have them for me, because my goal was my department. It wasn't me. I'm the leader, right? I'm not doing the thing. I'm helping everyone else do the thing. So I was always a thorn in leaders' side, because as long as they didn't see it the same way I saw leadership. But when I learned leadership, that's what they taught me. That it's about your employees, and they take care of the money, and they take care of everything. And that's what I believe to this day. So yes, I know we all agree, right? And watch for my book on employee engagement, because that's another one I'm writing. But I wrote in my goals that one of my goals was to keep myself in this big picture view, because if I get caught in the weeds with the employees every day, then I'm just going to go down into the quicksand with them every day, and I'm not going to be a helpful leader. I needed to keep my mind on the bigger picture and the bigger vision, and way more than they could ever imagine. And that's why I kept myself up with the programs that my mom was showing me from Nightingale Conant with Joe Vitale, like the Awakening series. By the way, it's amazing. Watch it, listen to it, whatever. The Awakening and karmic marketing, and just in general, like how can I keep my mind on bigger things so that I can be a good leader? Because when you get stuck in your day-to-day routine and you don't even give yourself time to, I can't imagine a day where I don't listen to something. I'm listening to stuff on my phone. I can't do my makeup if I'm not listening to something. I have to be expanding my brain, right? Like it's a waste of time. The only time that I give myself sometimes is like in the shower and I'm thinking, and then I'm connecting with God and I'm getting downloads. And that's when I'm able to listen, and journaling. I take time to journal and I listen while I'm journaling because I do authentic journaling. And exactly. And I have a note, guys. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to show you this on the other end. But when my note, it's in sparkly letters, and I was watching Michael Bublé. This was in 2015. I know that I'm starting a foundation. I have it all written out exactly what the foundation is about. And we're going to do a Christmas spectacular, the Arthur Murray Christmas Spectacular. Nobody knows it's going to happen, but I know. And we're going to be earning money. It's for the Arthur Murray Foundation that doesn't exist yet. So whatever, I put it out there. No, I'm unabashedly sharing it. That's what's happening in the world. But I guess I should let AMI know that I'm starting.
You need to yeah. And speaking of that, as you're talking, if you could go into a little bit of your dancing expertise, what it means for you as a life energy, and why, and you just opened your own studio, and talk all about that so that we can learn a little more about that.
Yeah. So dancing, I think any dancing, music especially, we talked about this like moments before we started, but music is math, it's art, it's science, it's all the things, it's physics, it's so many things. And by learning music,
it's culture. It's culture.
And it's history. It's history. Like I can play the same piece that Beethoven wrote and it sounds the same because he was able to notate it. Now, what's even cooler is that we can take similar pieces from history and change them and make them even different and like more appealing to people today so that they get interested in the historical type of music, which is just like books, right? If you write a book, that's kind of dry and boring to a lot of people, but if you can do a talk on a book, now the person wants to read the book. And so there's ways to get people interested in history that are not teaching them dates and facts and making them memorize stupid stuff that doesn't matter. It's all the stories, and it's how you can meet them where they are. So I know that was like a little aside, but music and dance for me was just like my youth, my childhood. I grew up, my dad was born in 1928. And so he was on the older side when I was a kid, and he showed me all of the old movies. And honestly, for me, I thought musicals were written in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. I didn't even know that there were musicals written in the 60s, 70s, 80s, because those weren't what he showed me. I only knew of black and white. Like I watched Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. I watched Gene Kelly and Judy Garland. One of my favorite musicals is Summer Stock. Nobody knows about that musical, but I do. It's old and it's really good. It was Judy Garland's last movie that she made. But those are what I grew up with. And that's how I grew up thinking. I thought I was them. And I thought I was in a musical my whole life. I would lean up against the towels in the bathroom thinking I was leaning on the hay while she was eating her sausage and singing Over the Rainbow. Like that's what I did.
Me too. Right? It's something we have in common.
I have to freeze this moment for all of us here and on Facebook and those who listen after. You've got to sing 2 lines of that song, please.
Oh Lord. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a heard of once in a lullaby.
Thank you. Tears.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Beautiful.
chills.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I grew up mimicking them, and my dad would say, you're really great at mimicking sounds. So I would mimic more sounds. And, you know, the words that are spoken over us, we go toward that, like, oh, you're great at that. Oh, let me do more of that, which I'm great. And I went that direction, and you're great at mimicking the sounds that you hear. So I sang more, and I copied the language that people were speaking. And so I have a big vocabulary because I have a robust amount of words, right? And, but that all came from the encouragement of my dad, really, because he was the one who was there with me. My mom worked. She worked really hard. She invented bag salad, her and her team, by the way. She's just so
She
cool.
invented what? What was it?
Bagged salad.
Oh,
What?
Oh.
Thank God for your mom. I
Yeah.
love bag salad.
It's not
How
cool.
cool.
She worked at Dole, and they put it in a bag, and they said, you know, we want salad to be accessible to people. So they put it in
Well, I
a
don't
bag
care
and
for
said,
Dole. I'm not going to endorse Dole, but I'll endorse
It's okay.
bagged salad that's organic at Trader Joe's.
Yeah. But the concept was new and it didn't exist. So anyway,
That
I mean,
is
my mom
cool.
was busy working, right? And she's a food scientist in R&D, and she was coming up with all kinds of cool stuff. My dad was the one who encouraged me to just keep doing whatever it was that I was doing. And he gave me words of affirmation. He was a fantastic leader. He was a leader at Mayfair Market. If any of you guys know what Mayfair Market was, it was a chain on the West Coast. And he was he became a vice president of just Mayfair Market. He traveled all over and taught them how to have a store because he did so well at it. And he helped so many stores go from like suffering to awesome. But the point is that he encouraged me to dance and sing and do anything that I thought I wanted to do. And I loved singing and dancing, and it gave me this outlet. So I have tested positive, whatever that means, for Asperger's, which I'm like, it's so weird, but I think the only reason that I come across as regular is because of music and dance, because I learned how to socialize.
Kathleen, I have a daughter who's got Asperger, and I'm almost 99.999% sure that all geniuses that are certified geniuses, which Steve, my former husband, is Mensa, right? I'm pretty sure if you're a genius, you have Asperger. And I think
exactly.
It's how your brain works. And because we try to dumb everybody down in this world to be less, they don't fit in the kangaroo box. We're trying to make them be a rat. And it's just a misuse of assets.
Einstein, right? Like if you try to tell a goldfish to be a tree, like, okay, it's a failure. But
that was our favorite quote at Starshine. And Steve Jobs had severe learning disabilities, and I'm sure he had Asperger. I'm sure when I look at it.
So I had a student, and this is it's fascinating because music and dance bring all types of people, right? But there was this one guy, and I'm going to name his name because he's amazing. Anthony Zapparo. So look him up. He's phenomenal. He's a genius. He's friends with Carl Sagan. He was when Carl Sagan was alive. And he walked into our studio, and I just recognized him instantly. Like, you know, that again, the genius connection, like you get when someone gets you and you get when they're different. And like, I want to connect with this guy. And I sat at the table and I said, I see you. I can tell that you can sense the energy in the room and you really like this energy of this music. And he's like, how do you know that? And I said, I don't know. I just do. And he's the one who told me to take this test, the Asperger test. He's like, I think you would do it too. You're probably the same as me. And I was. But he came up with this idea with the ice spaceship, and he figured out how it's not chemical bonding, or it's not, I don't know. I don't even know. It's just genius. And it reduces an electron instead. It just shoots off an electron instead of cold fusion. It's not cold fusion, it's bonding. And proposed all kinds of stuff to like Los Alamos National Lab and whatever. But this guy is just a genius, and he thought he was stupid. He told me, I really feel like I'm an idiot. And I said, because you're comparing yourself to Nobel laureates who are your friends. Yeah, okay, I feel dumb too. But right, we surround ourselves with these people, but that's also the second part of it is like, I gave a talk on this. There's 3 things that the Wright brothers had. They had belief, they had people, and they had persistence. The people part is probably the most important thing because they had each other. Their father, do you guys know this about their father? Their father said, he was a bishop, and he was talking to a colleague who was a philosopher, and the guy said, I think that in the next 10 years, man's going to take flight. And he said, oh, that's preposterous. Flight is reserved for birds and angels. This is the father of the people who believed that man could fly. And thank God they had each other. If Orville and Wilbur didn't have each other, what kind of mastermind could they have formed? They wouldn't. And that's why the other people didn't do it sooner. That's why they had each other.
It's interesting because sometimes I think that when somebody, at least me, my personality, if somebody tells me I can't, I'm going to prove them wrong. You know what I mean? So maybe that was put in the ethers, but actually, I'm going to move on to another question because I know we're going to move over to, we're going to miss Clubhouse today. Because
yeah, can I interrupt about that idea? I would like to see a show of hands, everybody on Facebook. Kathleen is one of the most compelling people we've ever had on here.
Yeah.
This is one of the most amazing CodPast we've had, and I don't like it that we can't go over to CodPast and have people answering or asking questions. Could we bring her back in for a full-on 2 hours very, very soon to follow up on this? Because I want to call Kathleen right now and just talk to her the rest of the day.
Rest of my life.
Yeah, I feel like this idea of music and dance and math and science. I mean, I'm getting tears right now. So can we get her rescheduled? Is that all right with everybody? It's kind
That's
of
fine with, yes, I vote for that.
Yeah, so we'll figure that out. And it's because this week we need to go over, all 4 of us are highly involved with Young Living Essential Oils. We're on Jack Canfield's team, and he has a special thing he's doing with what's our Royal Crown Diamond. Her name is Kathy Farmer, and they're educating us because they educate us every month in this personal development, how to use these incredible tools. So that's why we're going to miss Clubhouse. I think that's a great idea, Trish. But in the meantime, I want to ask Kathleen, because I know, I mean, your mother sounds amazing. Your father sounded amazing, but I also heard you use the word angels. And I'm wondering if you've had any, so you were highly inspired by them, but were you inspired by angels or UFOs or ghosts, or any metaphysical experiences you've had that you'd like to share with us?
Oh my gosh. That's so crazy to talk about. Yes, absolutely. And you won't even believe this. This is the weirdest thing. And I don't know that it would happen in any other
We believe
church.
We believe
No. I don't think you believe that this would happen in a church setting, and except the kind of church that I grew up in. So I grew up Episcopalian. Okay? We're believers of everything. We believe in Darwin, right? We accept anybody, anywhere. When I grew up, there was a woman who was a gay priest, a woman priest, first of all, but she's also gay. And I just thought that was normal.
We have a round circle around the cross.
Yes. We're just, right, a halo, right? It's different. So as a child, I remember learning ghost stories at church in Sunday school. My teacher taught them. And I'm sure in any other church, it would be like abolished instantly and like shame and all the terrible things. But that's where I learned. And as a Girl Scout, I learned to tell stories. I loved telling stories because I could capture someone's attention. I love to capture anyone's attention at any time. My whole youth, I was an only child, so I would like set the stage. Anywhere there was a stage or a platform, I assumed it was a stage for me. Right. And so I thought,
Me
my
too.
stage.
Yeah.
And they built one at the timeshare we went in Palm Springs. There used to be a hill, and then they flattened it. And I thought that was my stage. And so that's been my stage for the last 40 years of my life. And, but yeah, in Sunday school, I did learn a lot of ghost stories, and I practiced telling them all the time. I mean, I would practice them and I understood them. I could visualize it and I could see it. And I thought, wow, that's real. That's realistic. Like, this is possible. And there's so much to this world that if we limit ourselves, we don't see. And I mean, just our reticular activating system limits us anyway, so that we don't go crazy. But it also keeps us from seeing the things that we could see. So I was really grateful that I could have those stories and have this imagination around it, and imagine, and that ghosts aren't scary things. Like, they're real. They're spirits trying to solve an issue or trying to convey a message, and they're not, they're not bad. Like, it's not blaspheme, like none of that, because they're part of this experience that we're having as humans. Jesus came to have a human experience, but he started as a spirit, right? He started in a different realm, he wasn't human to start with. So that's like what we're doing right now. We're like these little puppets, and we're living this human experience, but we're really spirits who are experiencing. It's like playing The Sims. Let's simplify it. Or metaverse, right? You go into the metaverse, for those of today, but if you're our age, The Sims. And you like be a person, but you're not really that person, but you're the person controlling the person. That's what being a human is. We're people being controlled by a spirit, hopefully, sometimes not, and we're like doing our own thing, like peeing in the corner. Oh, like, right? Like on The Sims, when they get all bummed out, they wet themselves. Oh man, you didn't make a bathroom in the room. What am I supposed to do? So yeah, yes, I've definitely had those experiences, and they're fascinating, and I love it. I love every element of spirit world that I can get my hands on.
I love that. After our podcast last week, while we were being playful and powerful, I've decided that's my new brand, right? Playful and powerful. Isn't that great? As I'm on the corner of playful and powerful, depends on how you fun. But we met a guy who called it. Do you guys remember? It was like non-playing character, NPC.
I got it. Just a second.
Yeah, non-player character, NPC.
Yes, and so
that gamer term.
Yeah, and
it
so
can be gamer for you.
That's
yes.
Right. So they just come and they're there to kind of play off of, but they're not really there. And I think that's kind of a fascinating. That goes to Sims. I guess that's short for simulation, and now metaverse.
Yeah, the Sims is like the people. It was a game. Yeah, the Sims.
Right, kids, I'm sorry to cut this off, but I've got to get over and get it prepped for Jack and Kathy.
Sure.
And I hope I know the three of you, but anybody out in Facebook land on the science of oils and getting rich, we're going to have a rich thing happen on Monday. And I swear that's just out of pure mastermind prayer. Kathy Farmer, who's one of the most successful people in the world of any kind of network marketing, but she particularly is a healer. It was a healer before she ever met the founder of Young Living Oils, and helped him to create all the recipes as they spoke to indigenous tribes and tried to figure out how that worked, and found out that you have to pray over the seeds and all that. And she's fascinating, and she's just going to do a Q&A for the whole hour Monday. I'm going to introduce her, talk like that, and then she's just going to I'll just be recognizing people with their hands up. But we're going to go over, and she's going to do some work with Jack now. How can people sign up for that if they aren't signed up right now?
I think it's a public Facebook group called Science of Oils.
No, I know that's for Monday, but today, is there a way people can enter
Put the link.
The meeting now? I mean, I
don't think so. If they're not been invited, it's an invitation.
No, I don't think so. I think you could invite anybody, but I don't know how to do it now. I
We
could
could
go.
post a link. I'll post a link in the Facebook.
Oh, that'd be great. Can you do that in our Facebook
I'll
group
do
in the CodPast? That'd be great.
Yeah,
You're
'cause
the
I-
best. You're a
Assuming
leader.
I'm in the
Kathleen,
group.
you're
I don't even know if
amazing.
I'm
We
in the
love
You
you.
were
group.
so much
I don't know if
fun.
group.
I have learned
But I will.
so much, and it's exactly the discussions that we've been having. So God
Yes.
is working
Yeah.
in miraculous ways. We give thanks to all of our angels, archangels, and all the little minions that are helping us, assigned by God, because we don't know what they are. We just know we're getting help, and they're jumping up and down, and they're having a party, and they're saying, "I think they're getting it. I think they're getting it." And so we're here as the troopers, as the warriors of light, as the what did you say, shining stars, that we have the shining stars coming together to be the lighthouses for the universe. So
You're a shining
God
star,
bless you,
no
Kathleen.
matter
And
who we are.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. We love you.
Yeah, we'll
Bye,
see
bye.
you soon, Kathleen. Bye.
Bye bye.
Love you guys.
Love you.